But hey, Justin. So the reason why I brought you on, man, and we're gonna go ahead and knock this out. So a couple of weeks ago, NOAH had their Keiji Muto retirement show, and you've been working for NOAH as kind of like an American ambassador. And you can tell us kind of what your job is over there. And then you show up to Tokyo, and next thing you know, you're all slick looking in a fucking suit at the Tokyo Dome doing commentary on one of the biggest shows in Japanese history. So before you tell us the story, just I'm setting the table. Tell us, hey, how'd you get started with NOAH? What's your gig there? And then how the hell did this Tokyo Dome thing happen?
I started with NOAH last summer. They were looking for international people, including wrestlers and other, I don't know, talent or whatever they called it. They were asking for bounty hunters, and I wrote a business plan for them. And after a few weeks, they got in touch with me, and I started working for the office from there. And it was around like N1 time. And for Tokyo Dome, I was going to the show to help out and do kind of what I do. I, I guess the title is overseas or international PR, but it's just kind of like international stuff. I'm handling that when it comes to not just shows, but campaigns and lots of different sorts of international projects from television, streaming stuff, all kinds of good stuff that will be coming up now that we're in the post Muto world after this show. But for this show, I was planning to just kind of do what I usually do. It seemed like a lot of wrangling, backstage stuff. But when I landed, they said, "Would you like to join the Japanese commentary team?" And that's a Japanese way of when you work for a Japanese business. Could you do something actually means you have to do this.
Yeah.
So that and I don't really have a choice, but it's not like the worst thing in the world. I had fun. It was cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know
Go
this
ahead,
was a
JD.
bucket list thing that you've been wanting to do for a while now. Try to do some American commentary on Japanese wrestling because we used to flirt with that idea back in the original Japanese wrestling podcast on the Fight Game Media Network. High Tension, may it rest in peace. So I know this is something you've been itching to do for a little while. Did it live up to your expectations?
I didn't really have like too many expectations. I mean, I would, when we were talking about it, it was just, to add to these freaking all Japan cards that didn't have
Shits and
anything on them.
giggles. Yes, basically.
Like a lot of the cards, especially if it's not a bigger show, there's nothing on it. There's not even Japanese commentary. So, I mean, that's a big jump from that to Muto Final Tokyo Dome.
to the largest Japanese wrestling show of the year.
Yeah, and past decade, I don't know, man. I still can't get over it. It's really hard to like. It doesn't feel like I did it.
How'd you feel doing the show? How did it feel going out there and like what was going through your mind when the show started and then like when it wrapped up? Like how did you assess yourself and your performance?
I couldn't. I had to watch back. I just watched it back recently, but I didn't really actually think much. It was weird. It was more excitement, but it wasn't nerves. It was just like nothing. It was like a job. It really felt like, all right, let's go. And
Well, and the two guys you're with, what's Stuart? What's
Stu
Stuart's last name?
Fulton, and Mark Pickering.
They're like seasoned pros, and they do more than just pro wrestling. They do a lot of combat sports. I know they do Rise MMA out there.
Yep,
Stu they do some kickboxing too.
Stu does a lot. He's really involved in the commercial martial arts scene out in Japan. He has been for maybe like 20 years or so. Yeah, he does Rise. He does kind of what I do for Pancrase, the current Pancrase. He was just doing something that it looked really cool, and I think it's on Fight TV now. It's called Unrivaled. It's a new jiu-jitsu sort of grappling tournament, and there's a different rule set where guard pulling is negative points. You're not allowed to do it, right? Hell yeah!
So,
I really want to check it out. And they had like a U.S. versus Japan kind of thing. But he does commentary. Oh yeah, he does commentary on Quintet too. Have you seen Quintet? It's on
that's
UFC
the Barnett
Fight Pass.
Sakuraba thing, right?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
he did a lot of the more recent commentary. I don't think they've done a show in a little while, but he does those too. So yeah, his voice is on a lot of the Japanese combat sports stuff, not just NOAH. He's more of a combat sports guy as well as a Mark Pickering's a judo guy, and he also I don't know how involved he is with like soccer, football, rugby. That's a really big scene over in Tokyo too, and I know he at least is a big fan. I don't know how deeply he is connected with those scenes, but he's also on that MO as well.
That's what's cool about Stuart Mark's about their commentary is it is far and away the most sports based commentary in professional wrestling. Like they treat it. You hear this phrase like, "Oh, we treat wrestling like a sport." Most people do not. They treat it like pro wrestling. These two treat it like you're watching a combat sport, like you're watching, an amateur wrestling match or like some MMA. So that's why I've always really liked their commentary. I think they have good chemistry and it's unique. The show, a Noah show, feels different than watching Kevin Kelly on a New Japan show, right? And that's what I think is what's cool about Noah as a company is that it doesn't feel like New Japan, right? It's carved its own niche out. It's different product.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to like one of my goals in this PR position is to like what New Japan does well is they take what the Japanese product is and they do a great interpretation for it and they are really good at presenting the international New Japan product to like the real new international audience. Like they care more about more history stats and it's generally more deeper and we like nerdier stuff than the main New Japan crowd and Japanese. It's more general if you listen to the commentary. Whereas in Noah's situation, I really want to take what the Japanese Abema broadcast is doing and I want to present an authentic version of it just in English, not as much of like my interpretation of it. Japanese is a language that's really like flexible and fluid, and there are a lot of situations where there's just no direct translation because the word doesn't really exist in either language or one language or the other. So when from the editor's point of view, it's like, are we going to you have to interpret somebody's kind of what they insinuated or implied without saying it. Like you have to get their vibe too, which is really some people are easier to grab than others. Like Hiromu Takahashi, who I did some video work for because he had a match on with Amakusa on the Tokyo Dome card, and he's somebody who talks in a way he has his own way of talking. So it's like it's even harder because he's speaking Japanese, but he's not speaking like how anybody else talks. He has his own thing. And a lot of wrestlers have that too. They develop their own speaking style, and that factors into the translation too.
It's like more akin to like adaptation than translation, right? Yeah.
Transliteration, I've heard it
Transliteration.
called.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, because it's and then you got like Naito speaking Spanish too, and he's like, how do you like? This is half translated. I know he said something like "That's occupado." I'm like, that's how he talks. He just he does a Japanese Spanish cowboy thing. It's cool. It's just I don't know how to trade. Like sometimes you have to really.
It's like Spanglish, but with Japanese and Spanish.
It's totally him.
English.
It's him, or Gedo always speaking English and Spanish. Like they were speaking Spanish. Him and Nosawa were speaking Spanish to each other in the match at the Dome. It's so all those things factor into those translations and like
so
trying to like find the identity for Noah too, since everything like business and management sort of issues they've settled down since the pandemic and like I think the past 2 months, 3 months have been like we have a lot of momentum right now. It's amazing. I've never seen it for Noah like this ever.
What is Noah in the post Muto era? Because the last 3 years, Muto has been kind of the cornerstone of the promotion, whether he had the GHC or not. The company's been all about Keiji Muto. Now that he is gone, or as gone as any old wrestler ever is, what is Noah now?
That's a good question because there's no like clear answer yet. I know things are planned, but those are if I don't need to know about them, I'm not going to know about them right now. But
right.
So I'm assuming that they're, there are plans for people, working relationships. I can tell you that I feel that in the general sense in Japan, the idea of the post Muto world is really let's work together and get over this. All companies on board. Like, so I feel like New Japan and Noah will be hanging out a lot more, and not in a. If I hear forbidden door one more time, like it's never been a forbidden door. It's open.
No.
Just knock.
Yeah.
It's not treated like that. It's not treated like It's if there's a deal in play. It's like okay, that's another topic I can go on about. But the idea with Noah is like it's not. There's no like exclusive working relationships. It's not like the 90s where there's like huge TV deals involved and mega contract. It's just like if something is going to work, Noah's pretty open to a lot of ideas. So that and the history between Noah's management and New Japan's management, the people I work for, they were a part of the Bushiroad team 2012 when Bushiroad first took over, like Rainmaker Shock and like Tanahashi Suzuki Matt, like those those are the people I'm working with, and there's a back door between they're all cool. It's not weird.
Mhm.
It's just different company now, and those people were hired to recharge Noah when Cyber Agent bought the company and started a cyber fight. So, I mean, also Abema, which produces Noah's TV, is 15% owned by TV Asahi. So which owns New Japan, or not owns, but there's a part ownership in it. They have stake in it. So it's like working together will be a big part of going forward, because there really isn't a way to recreate a star like Muto, because he's coming from an era that's just the bubble period is over. And that's what the show felt like. The show felt like that 90s period. It really is done. And it's done for Muto, Chono, Misawa, Hashimoto. It was the send off. It was the send off everybody wanted, but they couldn't get because tragedy, injuries, and all that business. But it really felt like a closed book. And now what's next? And what's next is just trying to rebuild the scene, knowing that it's not going to be the same.
That gives you the opportunity to create something new, right?
Mm-hmm. There's more, but it's not just with New Japan. I mean, last night at the show, Yuma Aoyagi showed up with Naoya Nomura. There's going to be more All Japan and Kensuke office guys business. That is happening. I think we're going to see a lot more of that between a nice group of guys, not just from Noah, but I know like some Noah guys are going to show up on the All Japan shows, like Inamura and Aoyagi and Nomura are going to face Keno and Manabu Soya March 19th, I believe, at the All Japan show. So there's a lot of flip flopping, and yeah, there's cool stuff coming up.
Yeah. And we're seeing what's going on in Japan. That's kind of like also is mirroring what's happening here in the States with, you got New Japan guys showing up on AEW and Impact. You got Impact guys showing up on New Japan, and then you got now Ring of Honor's involved. And then we just had Timothy Thatcher show up on Ring of Honor. I think he worked the Ring of Honor show tonight. I think he wrestled Wheeler Yuta tonight, right?
He did.
And so we got all these like intermingling of these promotions, and then you're seeing it over there where Noah just had their big show. They had Dragon Gate, All Japan, New Japan, and then of course they own a couple of other promotions. They own DDT, they own TJPW. So there's a lot of that stuff, and I think it's really really cool. The only company out there that's really on an island is WWE, and maybe we'll see them eventually try to bring somebody in and do some business. They just let Nakamura work Noah, right? He worked the January 1st show, so that did happen.
That's a funny story. I heard the deal from what I heard, sources are sources, but what I heard is that Nakamura really wanted to do it, and he sent in a formal request, like an email. But when you do the formal stuff, you realize that any like corporation, sometimes those kind of emails are like, who answers those? Usually like part-time workers, right? Like, I don't know, office people. That there was an email, it just sat there for like 3 months. And
Really?
Wow.
well, yeah. Well, I mean, there's tons of stuff. You'd be surprised the reason like these things didn't happen is just because like somebody in the office didn't really know what was going on. So Nakamura was like, I haven't heard anything. I should check on it because it's like a big deal to him. He really did want him and Naito were just huge, massive fans. I would compare this to like Kevin Owens and Austin. It's like that. Like
Right.
that. They're from that generation. They love it would mean a lot to them. So he tried again, and I believe this was in August, and this was I believe after like all the Vince stuff passed a little bit, and Triple H was back, and he asked to see what was going on with that request he had made, but those guys weren't aware that he'd even made the request. So they checked into it, and apparently the point person for all this was Michael P.S. Hayes. He really got it done. Also, I think it was he really okayed it because he used to travel back with Muto back in Houston.
Yeah.
He
Gary
was,
Hart, right? Yeah.
Yep, that's right. Yes, he was Super Black Ninja, or I don't know if that was Puerto Rico, or he's still. I don't know if he became Great Muta yet, but those are like some of Muto's earliest days, and they were the heels. They would ride together, so he knew him. And then I think when everything was ready to go on their side, this is what I'm told. It was like from 6 days to the announcement. It was under a week.
Wow.
And it came out of nowhere. So
That's
awesome.
That's awesome, man.
so there you go. That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing from somebody who had coffee with Nakamura. Talking about that business. It's the real deal. So,
Yeah.
if anybody can correct me if I'm missing any details, yeah. But that's Michael Hayes. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a really cool story, man. But hey, before we let you go, because I'm not going to make you sit through an Impact recap. You got.
I didn't watch it tonight. I saw that there was like a. Did you guys
Smart
watch
move.
BTI? Is
No.
BTI worth watching?
Clearly, you don't listen to our show.
you listen to our show about as much as we watch BTI, apparently.
Well, I just saw something tonight. It said Frankie Kazarian, Rich Swann. I'm like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. Okay,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
sometimes they, bait and switch.
No, they want a match on BTI. Well, and thank you, folks. Thank you for talking BTI with us. Justin introduced it.
You're welcome.
Before we let you go, JD and I have been advocating probably for a year since we really started, talking a lot more Noah on this show, because we got 90 minutes to fill and Impact doesn't always fill it. So we talk about whatever the hell we want. When I first started watching Impact, there was a relationship with Noah. Taiji Ishimori came over. He was the X Division champion. They were a Slammiversary.
I think Marufuji was the first match on Access with Josh Alexander. I remember.
Yes, yep. Marufuji versus Josh Alexander. He also wrestled Michael Elgin at Bound for Glory. Oh, sorry, I said the name. Don't say the name out loud. Sorry, the name that I'm not allowed to say out loud. I just said it. But
say it three times, it's going to show up.
Yeah, wrestled that big fat bucket head guy.
The comedian.
The comedian Aaron Frobel.
I mean, people laugh.
It's not for the right reason.
Wrestled him. So there was a relationship there in the past. I know Scott
Hydro Protein.
Scott D'Amore is friendly with Kaito Kiyomiya and a lot of the other Noah guys that have come.
Yeah, I think he trained them.
He did through Border City Wrestling. So I know Impact really covets this relationship with New Japan, but I think that New Japan or that Impact and Noah, like kind of them working together a little bit more would be more mutually beneficial, I would think, because a lot of the Noah stars don't really have a lot of American TV under their belt. Not that Impact gets a lot of viewership, but
well, how about this? If they can start with airing some of Muto Final on Axis, how about that? And then we'll start talking. If they want to do that, then let's go.
Well, shit. Let's call up our bosses at Impact. Just kidding. We don't work for Impact. They would hate us.
Oh my God!
They're not fans of the show.
After my tweets tonight burying the show, I don't think they want me to work it for them. But
well, we all know Meltzer works for AEW. You guys work for Impact. We all know.
Justin, before you go, we got our audience is pretty loyal to Impact, obviously, and they've been getting tasted New Japan the last few years. I don't think a lot of the people that we talk to really know Pro Wrestling Noah. So as a PR guy, if I don't, you know me, I've been a big Noah fan for a while. Sell me on why I should watch Noah.
Watch Noah for at least. There are a lot of reasons, but you can just pick two guys. You can pick Kaito Kiyomiya and Kano. They're at the top of their careers right now, both of them, and it weaves together and now separately. Kiyomiya, for him being 26 years old, it's amazing to think he's from the same class as like Hirai Kawato, the Master Wato. Like that's the same. You can see like the difference in progress is amazing. Kiyomiya is something else right now. I think Kiyomiya is a great place to start with. Like if you never watched Noah, watch any of his matches from like the July Muto match from there. Any of those singles matches are freaking great, and they're all different. It's like Tim Thatcher, Keno, and Muto, Fujita. It's like a lot of a variety of different wrestlers. And Keno is just like, who else is like him right now? He had maybe two of the best matches of his career in 1 month, the Naito match and the Kiyomiya match. He never lost any of his momentum, even though he's been losing all of his matches. I think that defies the logic of, if you lose, you're a loser. He's been losing a lot, and I think he's more popular than ever. Dude's having his YouTube channel so popular, they're having a live show for it in Sendai.
Oh wow!
It's just him talking because he's really funny. He's always in character. He never breaks. I think those are two really good reasons to watch Noah. And on Wrestle Universe, watching on Wrestle Universe, you can watch it on it's an app too. So everybody that I've talked to, like the experience is it's a lot easier than something like New Japan World if you're using Android and Mac apps. Also, like, dude, the Muto final, the visuals, Abema production is. I'm biased. But who's better?
Nobody. Really? There's nobody better. Even WWE. I'll put Abima's production values against anyone in professional sports right now.
MMA is this incredible. Like Raijin and like KSW.
Yeah,
it's like that. That's where they're at. Or like I don't know, NFL. You know what I mean? It's really high level.
Noah is really good for American wrestling fans and Japanese wrestling fans, but I think like if you're an American wrestling fan and you like the spectacle of pro wrestling, you're getting that in Pro Wrestling Noah, and at the same time, you're getting badass matches that are more hard hitting than anywhere you're going to see in pro wrestling. Keno will kick your fucking head in. Nakajima will kick your head right off. Brian Danielson will talk about it, but then he's a really good pro wrestler. He's not really hurting anybody. But in Noah, you're getting like actual contact. Like this stuff is insane. And then with the production values that they have, you hear every kick, you feel it, you see it in depth, like you don't ever see it, like you don't see it anywhere else in the world. Last thing, before I let you go, I know I keep saying that, but JD and I talked about a guy, our favorite guys from Noah that would translate to the American audience and they would get over quickly. My two guys were Kano and Inamura. JD had a couple guys. In your opinion, outside of Kano and Inamura, who day one would get over on the American scene if they come to American TV?
Jake Lee, Masaki Tamiya.
Oh, there you go. And Masaki Tamiya might be coming to the States soon, hopefully. So
I hope so. It's all about the visa stuff, and all like things expire 1 year and they got to get renewed. And I think I hope we'll see more Noah characters in the States or overseas in general this year, especially with the pandemic up and everything.
Yeah. Well, all right, Justin, man. Hey, thanks a lot for being here. Justin, Fight Game Media's Justin Knipper, who also works for Pro Wrestling Noah, man. It was awesome.
Thanks, bro.
Talk to you guys probably later tonight.
Yes.
Have fun talking Impact. Let me know how that goes. See ya.
Sir.